This is the second Sunday in our season of gratitude here at St. Stephen's. And so I'd like to start us off in or continue us rather, in our season of gratitude. I want to recall something that Howard had read for us from the letter of Paul to the Thessalonians, when he said, "We must always give thanks to God for you, brothers and sisters, beloved by the Lord, because God chose you as the first fruits for salvation, through sanctification by the Spirit, and through belief in the truth." This week, I've been thinking a lot about what we have to give gratitude for at St. Stephen's, and one of the things that I think we should give a lot of gratitude for is for the people who have come before us. The people who, in our lives, did so much to lay the groundwork, to lay a foundation, as it were, for the people we get to be today, as individuals and as a church. I think a lot about my paternal grandparents, who were the ones who raised me when I was a boy, and I have these distinct memories of the things my grandmother did for me as she was raising me. I remember so distinctly coming home from school and it was snack time, and she made me always an open-faced cheese sandwich. I don't know why that stuck with me, but I remember she's the only one that ever made an open-faced cheese sandwich. And chicken noodle soup, when she so dutifully scooped all the little bits of parsley out that I was sure were poisonous. And while that may have been a bit of enabling, poisonous parsley, at the same time, I remember being there and thinking to myself, I knew I was cared for. I knew I was safe. I knew I had somebody who was devoted to me. Safe from the parsley. But there are probably two things that she did for me that continue, that I remember as the two most important things. Number one was I always knew I was loved by God. And I always knew that I was worthy of love. That was something that she did for me, to be able to be raised in a world where I knew without a doubt I was worthy of love. And I've been able to go and live my life knowing that, in confidence and self-esteem, knowing that even when things were going well in the world, that I knew I was worthy of being loved. The second thing that she did was to teach me that I have a responsibility to help others feel that way. I have a responsibility to love others and to help others know that they're worthy of love too. And so she laid a foundation that I continue to build in my life today, whether it was serving as a teacher or now as a priest, that I've got to devote my whole life to help others know God loves you and you are so worthy of love. And I wouldn't be able to do the things I do today if not for the foundation she laid. So I think to give gratitude. To give gratitude. And even us gathered here now, y'all here with me standing here talking before you, this is possible, at least in part because of the work that she did in her life. And even though y'all never got to meet my grandmother, she helped make this possible with so many others. So we should be grateful. And I think about us as a wider church. I think about St. Stephen's as a wider church. And we ought to pause and give gratitude for the people who came before us here. The people who helped shape St. Stephen's and made it the church that it is. And what that leaves us as a foundation. Many of you know the people who came before well more than I do. When I think about folks, I think about like Chuck and Mary Cassidy. Like Chuck and Mary Cassidy, who most of y'all knew, who laid a foundation here at St. Stephen's for the work that we get to do together. The way they gave of their hearts, of their money, of their time, they helped make the work that we do in some other place possible. They helped make the beautiful worship that we get to have here with each other possible. They laid a foundation that we get to give thanks for and continue to build on. I think of folks that came before, the Bessel. I think of the Bondurants. Folks that When we gather together and we're known as a church, throughout town we're known as a church of hospitality, of welcoming, of friendship, a place that is inclusive for all. They help make that possible because of the way that they gave to this church and led this church. And when I think of taking a real ownership of this church, I think of folks like Grady Dorr and Buddy Johnson and Gordon and Helen Alpha. Folks that they didn't just come here and enjoy being a part of St. Stephen's, but they took ownership. They felt like this is our community, this is our people. And they helped shape what it is today. And so whether it's the Godly Play program, the Sunday morning programming we get to do here, or our fellowship gatherings, the Sisters Guild, or going to EFM, or all singing in the choir, making our beautiful music possible, so many of the things that we get to be and we get to share today came because people before us were here and made it possible. And so I think on this season of gratitude, we ought to give thanks for all of those folks and what they did to make this possible. But I think also taking it a little further and saying, we know that someday there are going to be people here in these pews, people serving side by side, people being welcomed into this church, that the only reason they'll be able to be here is because of the work that we're doing now. And I like to think that someday, a generation from now, they'll be having a season of Thanksgiving, and they'll be lifting y'all up in gratitude and giving thanks for y'all. Just like I get to go and take the love that my grandmother shared with me, and I get to go and share it with others. So someday they get to give gratitude to me. Just in that same way, we're following an example of what Jesus Christ did with his disciples when he empowered them and sent them out, and now we give thanks for them. In that same way, we get to go and decide what kind of church we want to take that they gave us and give it to the next one. And let them be grateful for the work that we're doing now. So I want us to close the way Paul closed in his letter to the Thessalonians when he says, "Now may our Lord Jesus Christ himself, God our Father, who loved us and through grace gave us eternal comfort and hope, comfort your hearts and strengthen them in every good work,